morning, good evening, everyone. This is Ludika Pkina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate 6 or 7 articles every day, essential, important, or optional. You can find the articles at gaiinsights.com/articles and follow along. And please tell us in comments whether you agree or disagree on our ratings. Today, I have a regular crew, Ankash and Tim Andrews, and a wonderful guest today, Lucinda Lindy, who comes from Insight. She is a principal data scientist, does a lot of what we're talking about and experimenting with it and applies it. So we welcome your views, Lucinda. Thanks for joining.
Always great to be here with such a smart group of people.
Thank you. All right, let's start with the first article, Ankash, please.
Thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have is titled Introducing Lux, the world's best foundation computer use model.
Yeah. This comes from a company called AGI. It was founded by a whole bunch of researchers, MIT, CMU, a lot of people. Not quite clear how they were funded, but they are doing really cool work. What did you think about this, Tim?
I think it's super cool. Everyday miracle. I'd rate it as optional. Nobody's ever heard of this company. And they have a lead right now, but as we've seen, this is a game of leapfrog here. So I'm not sure the lead will last. It's very interesting. And the results on benchmarks are very high, but what counts is marketplace. And they didn't cite any customers. They're, brand new company. So could be very cool, but wait and see.
Okay. Yeah, but Tim, maybe you can tell us what it is about and where they pushed the boundary and in which way.
Well, they claim, without much detail, there's very little detail in this press release. They claim to do much better at computer use, and they claim they assert the reason is because they did quote unquote agentic pre-training, which okay, whatever that means, and what it technically means, I think, is that they used different pre-training mechanisms for attention, but they don't go into any of the details, so it's a little hard to evaluate. But they've made some changes to how pre-training is done that they say makes it much more accurate for computer use in particular, which is what this is about, which if anybody's unfamiliar with it, all the major models have these abilities to track movements on the screen so that you can do what in the old days we used to call screen scraping. So you can just go to a web interface and click on a button or enter some text and actually use the live web interface for automation. And so that's the idea here. And the models have gotten much more sophisticated. These computer use models are okay, but just okay. They're still not really good enough to use in any serious production. This model is better. Unclear still if it's good enough for a real production use. And again, screen scraping, as in the old days, or using these web control interfaces, is a fundamentally bad idea, but you do it because you don't have a better way to do it. Much better would be if you had access to the internal structures that are running that web interface, because the web interface is just getting in the way when you're talking machine to machine. So that's probably a little long-winded, but that's what it's about.
But thank you, Tim. Okay, so optional from Tim. What did you think, Lucinda?
Yep, I agree with optional. A couple of other totally with everything that Tim said. Other aspects are that I guess the timing of this article is such that it was right before Claude 4.5 Opus got released and Gemini 3 that everybody's losing their mind over. And so as a result, the benchmarks that they have are actually for older models. So it's really not sure. Plus, it's kind of a little bit of proof by assertion. It's like we're the best, but they're comparing them to older benchmarks. And basically, yeah, there are a lot of trust issues. It's a new company. What can you trust? What don't you know about it? And no customers, no traceable or verifiable benchmarks, really.
Right. Okay, so we're going optional, Ankash. What do you think?
Optional for me as well, Luda. I think we have discussed this earlier as well, where we saw a few other model providers, like Tim mentioned, who were doing agentic pre-training, providing RL environments to the models to do work like a normal human does in various kind of softwares and environments, right? So I see this becoming more and more regular in the pre-training of models going forward, because we need models who can act in these environments, who can use these tools directly without screen scraping. So still optional, but I think we will see more of this going forward.
Yeah, and I think they're pushing the boundary. If they and they're yeah, so they're leading by example essentially, but optional. Paul, we're going optional on the first article. Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. Here's Paul from the car with the coffee. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one, Ankash.
Okay, the next one is a research paper. It comes from Apple and it is titled Starflow V, End-to-End Video Generation Modeling with Normalizing Flow.
Yes, Ankash, and could you please tell us what it's about and give us what you thought?
Sure, Luda. So, Luda, what Apple is saying here is that Starflow V is the next generation of AI video models. So, it does not follow the standard diffusion approach, which all other video models follow. They are using something called normalizing flows that can be trained end to end and is based on likelihood based modeling. So, basically, what they are saying is that this is one model which can handle text to video, image to video, and video to video tasks in a single model, and it can have strong temporal consistency, which is useful to use these models in ads, simulation, and content creation. So a lot of existing models, diffusion based models, they struggle with this consistency. So this is still, I think, in the research phase. They show some interesting developments, interesting videos and images, but still, I think, an optional article for an AI leader till the time it comes into practice.
Yeah. Okay, optional from Ankash, Lucinda?
Yep, very much agree with that. Optional. I think that if you are a company that is using these types of, video generation in your workflows, that it might be worth trying to experiment with. So it might be, I do think that it's got a different approach, which may or may not turn out to be interesting. And certainly, if that's one of your competitive edge, it's good to be able to be playing with that early. But otherwise, yeah, optional.
Okay.
Possibly important for anybody who has this as a core workflow.
Interesting coming from Apple, right? So they, and it's not surprising, they're trying to understand, because video and all of that is very important to them. So they're trying to understand what are other options to actually differentiate and outstrip the market. But it seems like it's pretty early, and they're very humble in the article, saying it's just research. We're just probing. Tim, we're going optional. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Yep. Really interesting research from Apple. So, I would never count Apple out. They tend to be a late bloomer. But this is good research, and they've done some other good research like Google. I would not count them out. And, we've seen what happened with Google over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Paul, we're going optional, okay?
Yeah, optional. I just make a footnote though. I think it's really important for the AI leader to understand that there's really everyday miracles that are continuing in PowerPoint generation and video in particular. And both those have very real implications. On the video side, obviously within marketing, but certainly within customer support on industrial products. So we had another set of calls with companies this week that have complex machinery that need to be fixed, and all the knowledge is in workers who are over 55. And getting it out and putting in a video is becoming very cost effective. So this article is optional, but people need to watch what's going on in the video front.
Yeah. Do you want to elevate it to important?
No,
I don't think
no,
so. Yeah, it's not worth it.
No, I'm looking for a case. I want to find a really good case study on this and elevate it that way.
Right. Okay. Optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one, Ankash.
Okay, the next one comes from AWS, and it's a case study about how Myriad Genetics achieved fast, accurate, and cost-efficient document processing using AWS open source generative AI intelligent document processing accelerator.
Yeah, mouthful. The name is mouthful, but interesting case study. Lucinda, what did you think about this one?
I'm voting this one for essential for many different reasons. First of all, it's an incredibly detailed AWS case study. It has the architecture diagrams. It's got, if you click through to the repos, it's got a lot of documentation on that. They tell you how they actually iterated on their prompts, and they give detailed examples of that. So it's really great from a like, okay, how do I do this, or how do I even start getting doing this? Also, it's they give a lot of very good impacts of business impact. So they went from a 94% accuracy to 98% accuracy. Oh, let me just explain what it is. It's basically a document classification for capability that a lot of highly regulated industries need to be able to handle and access and extract information from. So these include lab results, test requests, clinical notes, etc. Insurance. They use the mixture of OCR and AWS models, which I was surprised about using OCR, but they actually did the testing and they found that using Amazon Textract OCR yielded better results than using a visual language model. It's 80% faster for classification latency. So it's really good. And so, yeah, I just think it's definitely worth looking at in a lot of detail.
Yeah, and they scaled it, so it's in production. Yes. It's working. Thank you, Lucinda. Essential from Lucinda. Tim, what did you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. This is one of the best case studies we've seen, and also another example of the Empire Strikes Back, because AWS was considered the weak sister for so long, and this is great. And not only that, AWS has done what has surprised me that neither OpenAI nor Anthropic has done, which is created a design pattern, we might call it, and frameworks for doing document processing, which is a huge use case. I can tell you, I did a project like this for a major client maybe not 10 years, but probably 7 years ago. And we used Textract and we used Comprehend, these tools that do the OCR. They were fantastic already. And the addition of the large language model enables you not just to recognize the text in these crummy looking healthcare documents, because healthcare is full of crummy looking documents, let me tell you. And they are critical for doing any kind of processing, whether it's clinical care or in this case, more related to insurance processing. But it doesn't matter. There's tons of paper forms. They need to get into electronic form if you're going to do anything with them. And this is just incredible. And they have an entire document processing framework now that's no code based in AWS. And I think that's maybe even more important than this particular case study. So if everybody does document processing, and having a framework where you can basically almost no code it and get something up and running, and this one scaled into production, and as Lucinda said, had some pretty impressive results. Again, the most important result to me was they got to human baseline, which means it was as good as human beings. That's what people forget. You don't have to be 100%. You have to be at least as good as the humans are already doing, and then it's an improvement. And if you're doing it faster, cheaper, more scalable, then you've got a winner. So yeah, I really like this one.
Okay. Essential sounds like. Ankash, what did you think?
Essential for me as well, Luda.
Great. All going essential.
Well, actually, I have two essentials. I think the first essential is the new term Tim just came up with, CCLD, critical, was it critical, crummy critical documents. Boy, I'm forgetting the L here. But yeah, no, I again, just kudos to Amazon. I want to find out, send emails that wrote this thing. They just continue to do a great job, but absolutely essential for these crummy critical documents.
Right, and it's open source. That's what I liked
Right.
about it. It's open source, and so you could actually attach other another stack to it and process your data,
Exactly.
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
this is like it carries
Yep.
its process.
This is going to be, in my mind, the next big use case after coding.
I agree.
Coding has some advantages because all the data is already digital, but this is people's biggest hurdle right now is most of their data, unstructured data in
Unstructured,
particular,
yeah. Right.
massive reams of unstructured data are not digital.
And
Okay.
they also have a very good evaluation framework. So if you click through to
Right.
the evaluation, it's super long, super detailed. So really, it gives you so many pieces of what you need to get a production application off and running quickly.
Right, the three pieces: ingestion of documents, the testing structure of how they put together the testing structure to test whether they're doing okay, and then the evals in themselves. So they had three of those tools working. So yeah, certainly essential, triple essential here. Okay, great. Let's proceed to the next one.
Okay, the next one, again, a case study. This one comes from Anthropic, and it is titled Matillion Reduces Data Pipeline Creation from 40 Hours to 1 with Claude-powered AI Assistant.
Yes, Tim, what did you think?
So I'll give this one an important because it's a good use case, and here's the classic contrast. This use case could be as good or better as the one from AWS we just reviewed, but there isn't nearly enough information in here to really tell. So it sounds really intriguing. So what the light information they gave makes it sound like they did a great job. And again, this is another area, data analytics for executives. This is what this company pretty much does. That is a huge issue. And if you can democratize some of that and make it go faster so people can get reports faster, they're getting more data than ever. How do they use that data for insight? That's a big problem. But there's just so little information about what they actually did. And some glancing statistics about good improvement. So again, I rate it as important, good thing, good case study to review, but lacking in a lot of detail in exactly how they did it.
Right, but the case is to prepare data to generate insights for companies.
Sorry, yeah, it's right. It's about data pipelines for analytic processing. So you got reams and reams of data. And this is an expensive and complicated process to do what we call ETL, extract, transform, load. So you've got to get the data from all the raw sources. You've got to prepare it for data science activities, whether it's ingestion into a large language model or just standard machine learning, whatever it is. I've been through this for 15 years. It's a lot of work, and you pay people a lot of money to do this stuff. So, and it's constantly in demand and excessive supply because every executive suddenly says, "Hey, I've got all this great new data. I want to do something with it. Can you do something like this?" And then that's one more backlog request in the queue. So everybody's always overwhelmed with all the different stuff. And so this it's a good case study in that sense of a complex problem. And they also said that the ETL fixes pipelines, which is another good thing. So there's a lot of good little nuggets here. They just don't give enough information for you to do much more than read it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Tim. Important from Tim. Lucinda, you actually do this stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think?
So working at a data consultancy at 6:45 this morning, I forwarded this article to our Generative AI Slack channel because I feel like it's so important. So I do think that any AI, executive that is dealing with data pipelines really needs to look at this and know that this is another very good use case pattern. You're able to create data pipelines. I think Tim gave a great description of the ETL and the types of data transformations you need to do, that you can create a pipeline that drops from 40 hours of work, pre-using this to 1 hour of work, that you can do your pull requests 41% faster. You don't need any sort of special model. The models are now so powerful, you don't have to do anything with fine tuning. it's really kind of the first wave of agentic data infrastructure. And if you look at other companies that are doing this, like Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, Google, Microsoft, they are all doing this. So I think this is a really powerful use case. Definitely, if you have these data pipelines, go try it out. We're using Claude now for, there are a bunch of us who are using Claude. And it's really a game changer in terms of how quickly you can do things and also abstract things, and just it accelerates your comprehension and then what you want to do with these data pipelines.
Thank you, Lucinda. Going important. Ankash, okay with that?
I was optional on this one, Luda. It doesn't have the kind of detail that I would like to have, but hearing Tim and Lucinda here, I think I'm convinced of important.
Okay, great. Paul, important, okay? Yeah. All right, let's proceed to the next one. This one is important.
Okay, the next one comes from NVIDIA, and it talks about tool orchestra, elevating intelligence via efficient model and tool orchestration.
Yeah, an interesting tool that they're putting in front of us, integrated into the NVIDIA infrastructure. Lucinda, what did you think about this one?
Well, I mean, it's coming from NVIDIA, who actually is one of the major players of frontier models, and so as a result, I give this an importance. I think if you look at some of the graphs there, you can just see it's very surprising how strong this little 8 billion parameter model is, because they're just doing something very interesting. It beats Grok Heavy. It beats GPT-4 class models in doing tool orchestration. And oh, by the way, let me say that one of the key, stumbling blocks of doing agentic workflows is tool calling and tool orchestration. There are so many different ways to go off the track on that, and that if this little model can help you with that, I think it really is a view into things to come. So I view this as important, especially because the fact that it's from NVIDIA, and they're also focusing on total cost of operation savings with these small models.
Right, and Ankash, if you can scroll to the graph on cost, accuracy and cost, this is what I thought was a little lower than that one coming up.
Yeah, the graph, that one is really
that one. So that is actually stunning. So accuracy is where the line you need to look at is the top one. It's the accuracy is high and the cost is like stunning. So that is a great promise. Okay, thanks, Lucinda.
Well, also, I do want to say also the caution here is that it is R&D and it's not available for people to use. So it's really more about keeping in the know as opposed to anything you can actually do with it right now.
Yeah, but for the AI leaders, when this hits, right, and gets into production, they need to be aware of this, because this is important. And also my sense is that in the first chart, they create those stacks, right, that you can select out of the tools and you can add to those. So as a result, you have this flexible orchestrator that you can actually include other tools, appears like, obviously to be seen. Okay, Tim, we're going important on that one, okay?
I won't argue. I was more optional, but I won't argue.
Okay. Ankash?
I was important, Luda. I think this is where the small models are going. We have discussed before, I think, that small models need fine-tuning, and they are very good with these kind of tasks. And this particular example from NVIDIA showcases that. It is very detailed. It's on fine-tuned on Quinn 8 billion parameter model, right? So I think it's a really good message out to the AI leaders that, okay, you can use your bigger set of models to do the task which need that kind of heavy lifting. But if you need to orchestrate multiple agents, you can do that with small models as well.
Okay. So, and Ashish agrees with you, Lucinda. Paul, we're going important, okay?
Yeah, important. And the only footnote is that the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, was on Joe Rogan's podcast last night. So 2 hours of interesting commentary.
Did he mention this tool? probably didn't.
He didn't mention the tool. No.
Okay. Important it is. Let's proceed to the last one. Ankash, please.
Okay, the last one comes from ByteDance, and it is about Seed Dream 4.5.
Yes. Ankash, what did you think about this one?
So Luda, I was between optional and important for this one. So ByteDance has been launching the Seed Dreams model in competition with Google's Nano Banana now and other sort of image generation models. They claim that this particular model has stronger typography and dense text rendering. So basically, they can render text accurately, like we have seen with Nano Banana Pro now, and it is better in identifying objects in the images and just changing those objects and not changing the entire image. But still, they are claims from ByteDance, and we haven't seen any such examples in production. That's why I was between important and optional for this one.
Okay. Lucinda, where were you?
Yep, I was really yeah, same thing. Important and optional. It's really a new video generation model. It really goes after the e-commerce, kind of the commercial workflows of image generation, as opposed to kind of like, hey, let's just put together cool stuff. So in terms of like, what's it like versus Midjourney, it's got better structured for commercial workflows. And well, Midjourney is better for artistic, generation and originality versus Firefly. Actually, this Seed one is not as good as the integration with Firefly, which is Adobe. They have all that workflow as well. Again, remember, it's a Chinese company. There's definitely some data governance and like what kind of forces are they being put under for this. So for any regulated industry, probably ignore it at this point. But yeah, I'd say optional to important, depending on what your workflows are.
Yeah, optional to important. Tim.
Yeah, optional for me, everyday miracle kind of stuff. ByteDance, as we know, and the Chinese companies are doing a lot of really interesting things. But Lucinda made all the points, and this is again another game of leapfrog where, okay, this looks great, but I think honestly, I was just talking to some close friends who are in the sort of this industry deeply. And they are all going to Gemini, all of them, 100%.
Nano Banana.
Interesting.
Nano Banana wins, huh? Okay. All right. So it seems like we are going optional on this one. Paul?
Optional.
Optional. Yeah, it seems like this is a very big race. We saw a number of models introduced, what was it, yesterday in this space, and it's just like every day everybody's pushing on this, and it's not yet there, but getting there. All right, optional it is. As Ankash prepares the scorecard, Paul, any announcements?
A couple announcements today at noon. We have our Everyday Thursday Gen AI 101 for Microsoft OpenAI ChatGPT. So please join us that. We continue to find real value in that. Second thing, this Monday at our 7 p.m. Eastern Learning Lab, Jenny will go through part 2 of ChatGPT 201. And third, I just encourage everyone to keep learning and doing GPTs. I was at 2 events at Harvard Business School. Dozens and dozens of students and AI enthusiasts, and again, only maybe 5% of them have ever built a GPT. They're a fantastic productivity tool for routine things you have to do on a weekly basis.
Okay. Thank you, Paul, for the advertisement. Okay, today we had essential, 2 importance, and 3 optionals. Thank you, Lucinda, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Ashish, for commenting. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.